Welcome to Making Sense with Meka, the podcast. The Making Sense with Meka podcast is a journey where we'll explore the truth of everyday life from my experiences and my perspective. We'll ask the hard questions in an attempt to make it all make sense. Welcome to Making Sense with Meka, the podcast. Today we have a special guest. Actually, it's our first guest. And it's our very own executive producer, editor, all the background titles for the podcast. My daughter, Sanaya. Welcome, Sanaya.
Hey.
So this is our very first guest, like I said. It's my daughter, Sanaya. And I just wanted to bring her on to chat it up a few things. She'll be 18 in less than a month. Just started her senior year of high school. Congratulations, class of 2021. She has some amazing things planned for her future. Future looks very bright. I'm very, very proud of her thus far, and I know that I'll only be even more proud as time progresses. She never seems to disappoint me when it comes to life goals and school and all the good stuff. And she's never even been like a problem kid. The biggest thing that I have to get after her for is like chores, normal stuff, washing dishes, stuff like that. But other than that, she's a pretty cool kid, works very hard, and is extremely intelligent. I value her insight, perspectives, and opinions. And she probably knows me better than a lot of people. So I figure I'd bring her on and we'll chat it up about a few things. Seeing that in less than a year, she'll be going off on her own and living on someone's HBCU campus. She's definitely committed to going to a historically black university, which I'm very proud of. I'm excited for her and can't wait for her to begin her journey as a young adult. So, Sanaya, are you excited about everything that's about to take place as far as like your senior year, graduating, going off to college? Like what's on your mind right now?
I'm probably more anxious than excited.
So nervous, yeah, anxious feeling. So what has you anxious? What's the vibe?
It's different. It's not senior year for everybody else. It's a whole new senior year. Classes look different. It's just a different vibe at school.
So the COVID-19 thing is basically what you're referring to. Like your senior year is not going to be like everyone else's senior year. It's different for you because you have these new regulations. There's masks on campus. There's what else is going on as far as like in class, because we had several options. Well, we actually had 3 options. We had the option of you going back to school physically to the building. Mm-hmm. We had the option of you attending online classes with your school. Yeah. And then we also had the option of switching you to a K through 12 virtual school. We discussed those options. Yeah. And the fact that you are, like I said, about to be 18 in less than a month, I kind of let you take the reins on that and really decide on what you wanted to do, because this is your future. This is one of your first big life decisions. Yeah. I didn't want to overstep the bounds. I already knew that senior year was going to be difficult, just on the strength that because of COVID-19. So I didn't want to put any more or less pressure on you. So your choice was to what?
Go back to school and class.
So you're back in the building, brick and mortar, and you're wearing a mask all day, right?
Yeah.
And what else is going on? How does the classroom look? How are you guys keeping social distancing?
So a normal table, which would seat 4 kids, is only seating 2. In most classes, they're trying to keep us far as apart as possible. Obviously, 6 feet is not plausible. It's just too many kids in the classroom to do 6 feet. When you walk into the classroom, they give you alcohol wipes, and you're supposed to wipe down your area before you sit down. Throw those away. There's hand sanitizers everywhere. That's pretty much it.
I know we got a recording or a message from the school stating that you guys need to bring your own water because they were shutting down the water fountains. Yeah. You don't have access to a locker this year. Pretty much carrying around everything. Is that right?
Yeah. Today I have my water bottle, my book bag, which for most of my classes, so the way it's set up is teachers have in-class classes and they have their online classes. So they decided to just do all their course curriculum online. So basically the whole year I also need to bring a computer so I can do my work in class, but have to turn it in online. And so my book bag was pretty heavy today.
So you had your books, your binders, plus the laptop,
water bottle, and my lunch.
And your lunch. And there's nowhere that you don't have any options as far as storing your stuff. You're just carrying it around all day.
Yeah.
So that's definitely different. How bothersome is that? Like, is it like, man, I don't want to do this? Are you regretting making the decision to go back to the building? Because I know part of that decision was you were stuck with that choice for the first, 18 weeks of school?
Yeah.
The first 2 quarters. Mm-hmm. Are you having any regrets with that?
No. I don't like carrying around my stuff all day, but it's just something we got to do, so I'll do it. But I would rather be in the classroom than online any day.
So why not be online?
I couldn't be online because I would push things off. I would procrastinate way too much, and then I would put myself in a position where I'm trying to do like 3 weeks of assignments in a week before the quarter ends, and I just don't want to have to do that. If I have a teacher there constantly, daily, that's in front of me telling me you got to turn this in, I think I'm more inclined to be like, okay, let me go ahead, go home and do this, and then come back tomorrow.
So being in the building causes it allows you to have more accountability.
Yeah.
And it keeps you on track more.
Yeah.
So even with the fears of COVID-19 and the hand sanitizers, washing your hands 20 million times a day, carrying around everything you own in the building all day long, it still outweighed being at home and not having that level of accountability with the teacher saying, hey, this needs to be done in this amount of time.
Yeah.
Okay. I completely understand that. That was a hard decision for me as a parent, because not only were we facing your senior year, which I want to be amazing. I already know it's going to be different, but I wanted you to be comfortable in whatever environment you chose. But I also had to think about your safety. I also had to think about your health. And you also hold a part-time job. So on days where you actually have to go to school and then you turn around and you have to go to work, I'm thinking like, gosh, she's going to be in a face mask for more than 12 hours in one day. That's a lot. So I had to consider that. But I also knew that you make very good decisions. You know, I've never had to question your judgment. And that's something that you really wanted to do. Like I said, in less than a month, you'll be 18. And so I felt that that was a decision that you truly had to make for yourself. So I'm comfortable with the fact that you made that decision. I don't have any regrets with allowing you to make that decision. Of course, we pray and hope that, you know, there's no major outbreak in your school, that there's no need to quarantine, and that, of course, you don't get sick. But we still had to find a way to get back to life and normalcy. And part of that for you was going back to school.
Yeah.
Okay. We also want to talk, I also kind of want to delve into, so probably since you were what, 7 years old, I've pretty much raised you by myself. Been a single mom the majority of the time with you and your brother. And not only just a single mom, because you can be a single mom and like kind of co-parent, and then the other parent is active, but in your case, you and your brother both, the other parent is kind of non-existent. So it was just us.
Yeah. Me,
your brother, you, and I pretty much managed everything on my own. What do you feel like you, if anything, you missed out on in not having that other side or that other parent available, not just physically, but like emotionally? They weren't available financially. So just to, you know, do you feel like there was anything missed out on by not having a two-parent, not even just having a two-parent household, because two people can raise children and not be in the same household. So by me not having a co-parenting relationship with your biological father, was there anything that was missed? Do you feel emotionally neglected, financially neglected, physically neglected in any ways?
I don't think I missed out on anything.
Why would you say that? Why would you feel like you didn't miss out on anything?
I feel like somebody was always there. Like, it might not have been him, but I always had somebody around that I can count on. That whether it was you, Granny, Kia, somebody, Shanika for a period of time, there was always somebody that was there for me, pick me up from school, take me to whatever after school thing I had going on. I didn't feel like there was any extra to be needed.
Okay, so you feel like with my efforts and then whatever village we had that took part in our lives, it was enough.
Yeah.
You were satisfied with what you had available.
Yeah.
If the opportunity presented itself for a relationship, is that something that you want? Is it something that you feel like you still need? Or are you good?
I don't think I could build a relationship with him.
At this point?
Yeah.
And why is that?
I don't think that I'm understanding enough to see his point of view in order to not be angry in some way or fashion. Because regardless of me not needing anything or not wanting for anything, I still feel like you neglected your responsibilities. Mm-hmm. Regardless of what you had going on, you had responsibilities and you neglected those. And I just can't respect you for doing that.
So more so or less, it's a manner of, regardless of what you had coming up and the fact that your life was fulfilled enough, the fact that he didn't bother is something that you feel like wouldn't allow you to have a relationship going forward.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you feel like you need an apology?
No.
Do you feel like you deserve one?
I'm gonna say no.
Okay. You don't feel like you deserve an apology? Okay. And you don't feel like you need one? So you feel like that regardless of whether you ever hear from him again, whether you ever talk to him again, that your life is complete. Yeah. And that nothing that he did or did not do will prohibit you from reaching your goals and foreseeing your future.
Yeah.
Okay. What about relationships? So, no, like seriously, like you don't have a healthy relationship with your father. There is no relationship. It's non-existent. And one day there's going to come along a young man who is going to attempt to gain your favor.
Yeah. And
is going to be interested in you. And do you feel like that is going to... Is there going to be some backlash from not having that healthy relationship? Is that going to prohibit you from being able to receive or accept love?
I don't think so. I think, though I haven't been in any serious long-term relationship, I think I understand when I'm pushing people away. Okay. I can understand when I'm acting out in certain ways. So, like, even sometimes when I get mad at you, like, you may not know this, but when I'm in my room, I'm like, I don't know why I did that. Like, she ain't do nothing wrong. I don't know why I just got mad at her for no reason. I can see that, and so I understand that if I do that in a relationship, there needs to be a point where I apologize, and we need to figure out a way for me to not do that again.
Okay. So you're saying that you can recognize basically triggers for yourself. So you know what I'm saying? Like when you mistreat someone, you can realize, hey, that might not have been his fault. Yeah. Like I'm like whole life taking this out on him and he really didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
Or anybody for that matter.
Yeah.
Okay. Like that's some really grown up, mature type of thinking. Because like a lot of people are hurting people because they've been hurt by somebody else. Like it takes a lot to be able to self-reflect and say, hey, I'm just acting out because of this, or I'm choosing to, push people out of my life or push people away because of my own insecurities or my own shortcomings. Like how did you come to that?
I have no idea. I just, maybe it's just my personality where I'm like in touch with myself, but I understand myself.
So, true enough, we all have our moments. We all, act out at times, but it takes a very, very big person to own that. So, for you, accountability is a big thing.
Yeah.
And you try to be accountable with your actions with other people as well as with yourself.
Yeah, even like with friends, I've gotten into like some like falling outs with friends before, and I've been the one to text them and be like, hey, yo, we need to talk. Like, what I did was wrong, regardless of what you did. I know what I did was wrong, and, like, we need to find a way to reconcile this. And some we have, and some we haven't.
Right.
And
you're okay with that.
Yeah.
I think the big thing about it is being able to reach out to others and saying, hey, I know where I went wrong. I know where I messed up at. And, being able to own that, that's a big thing. People, even if they don't like you after that, I believe that they have to respect you. Yeah. That garners a lot of respect because a lot of people aren't able to do that. A lot of people aren't able to own their own shit and be accountable for their own actions. Even if something someone else did cause you to react, you still have control over the way you react.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about me as mom? 9 months from now, a year from now, you're going to be packing up your bedroom. Yeah. You're going to be going off to 9 times out of 10 another state. You have one or two colleges, I think, here in Florida, but it's not looking too good for the state of Florida as far as the HBCU journey is concerned. We're looking at different states and possibly being at the minimum a 6.5 hour drive away. Maximum could be 14, 16 hours away driving. How do you feel? How secure are you in your ability to be able to take care of yourself, to be able to go out in this world and do it on your own?
Well, as you know, I've been ready to be on my own. In middle school, 6th grade, I wanted to go to a boarding school. Now, I'm so ready for college. I'm so ready to be in a dorm, and I can't wait to be on my own, honestly.
Okay.
I'm excited for, like, the independence. Yeah, I can't, like, I know some, like, people, they live at home for a long time, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I just can't imagine after 18, I can't imagine myself staying at home. I just need independence, and I feel like that's something that you instilled in me. Okay. And I'm ready for it, to be honest.
That's cool. I respect that. It's so funny you say I instilled that in you, but you were just born that way. Like, I must admit, from the time that you could walk, you've been running from me. Not in a bad way, but just running to your own independence, your ability to do things on your own. You didn't want me to do things for you anymore. From the time that you were able to hold a spoon and feed yourself, you didn't want me to hold the spoon anymore. Once you were able to walk, you didn't want to be carried anymore. Unlike your brother, who he would have let me carry him on my hip till he was 13 if I would have let it. But you, as soon as you were able to walk, you wanted to walk on your own. You wanted to begin to make your own choices, and you wanted those choices to be respected. And I can understand that. And it takes, as a parent, it takes some getting used to. When your child is extremely independent and they want to do everything by themselves, and they want to go off and see the world, and they want to just be their own person already at 2, 4, 8. And then you get to 6th grade and my child comes to me and they say, oh, I want to go to boarding school and I want to be away from home. And it also brings up some insecurities in me. Like, why is she trying to get away from me so bad? Like, is it me? Am I doing something like incorrect? And then I just realized, I think that is just your nature. I don't think that you love me any less, or that I've ruined you in any kind of way that you need to run away, but it's just your nature to be that's who you are, to be able to do things by yourself and to do them on your own. So I can't take much credit for that. I think you were just born that way. I don't know if it's because you're a Virgo or what have you, but you definitely have been a go-getter, and you've had your mindset on doing things your way and doing them on your own. Always been very responsible. Always been very always made very good decisions. So eventually I had to be comfortable with letting go and saying, okay, let me see how she does. And you haven't disappointed me. So, any obstacle or any test that comes about, I let you first make the decision or, the choice. And then, I sit back and watch. And so far you haven't fumbled the ball yet. Yeah. So I keep passing it. And you keep freaking scoring. Like, I can't be mad. I can't be disappointed because you always show up and show out, which is an amazing thing. And it makes my job as a parent a whole lot easier. Where with your brother, I had to push a little bit. I had to do a little, a lot more encouraging and, a couple pops upside the head, But with you, I give you the ball and you run it. So I'm grateful for that. I'm excited for you to go away and experience college life. That's something that I didn't do. It's something that you always wanted to do. So this is not my dream that I'm impressing upon you. From the time you were a little kid, you knew that you wanted to go to college and you knew you wanted to go to an HBCU. So these were all your own choices. This was your dream. I've just been here to help facilitate it and to help push you in the right direction, hopefully make the right connections and, get you into the right school, the right program. So, Sanaya, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
5 years. So 5 years, I'll be 23. Yeah. Well, hopefully I'll have graduated undergrad, on my way to medical school. Hopefully I won't have any debt or from undergrad, and I can work while I'm in undergrad so I can save money for graduate school, for medical school. See myself hopefully probably with my own apartment, or probably with like roommates. I feel like I'll be with roommates for a minute because college expensive. I don't know. I feel like I'll still be in school, so there's still like a lot of things I'll have to do. Maybe with a dog. I like dogs. I feel like 5 years is so little time.
5 years will go by fast, but I mean, there's like, you got your 5-year goals, which I wouldn't consider that short term. Those are kind of long term goals on. But then you also have like your 10-year goals. But you're graduating. You're about to graduate high school come May, and that's when the real fun begins. It's no longer a drill. It's no longer practice. It's real life. You'll be going out into that world, and you'll be making a whole lot more decisions on your own. Mom will always be there. I always have your back. Anything you need, I'll always show up for you. But you'll be doing it by yourself. You'll be doing it on your own, and you'll be making those decisions. And at that point, you'll be an adult. You won't need to call and ask for permission. Late night parties. You'll have to juggle that and think about, is it worth going out to this party and staying out till 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning knowing I have a 8 a.m. class, or am I going to stay in and make sure I'm up on class on time? Those are going to be all your decisions. This is going to be your responsibilities. I'm not going to be there to wake you up. I'm not going to be there to, if you're running late, get you to class on time, or trying to get you. That's all going to be on you. But I think you're prepared for it. I think you're ready for it. I think that your future as a college student is going to be very, very bright. I think you've set yourself up well as far as just doing really, really good in high school, and getting the necessary grades to propel you to your next step. I'm excited, like I said, for you to venture off on your own, but I'm also nervous. Like, I think about, the stories I hear in the news and these kids that go off to college. One that keeps sticking in my head, that keeps playing back to me is, I think it was last year, maybe the year before, the girl at Clark Atlanta who had the roommate and the boyfriend. They all got drunk one night. The boyfriend, I think, came into the room and he sexually assaulted the roommate. The roommate was going to call the police. But no, it plays in my head, like, because, you get to school, you don't get to choose your roommate.
Yeah.
And
I think that's something I'm scared for. Like, I'm scared to have, a terrible roommate. Whether it be they dirty, they stay up and party, they're a terrible person, they're racist. I don't know. I'm scared, to have a terrible roommate that I have to live with for a whole year, that I have to be in a closed space with.
I guess that's both of our concern, because I don't want that for you either. For these your brother's been out on his own, the last 3 years? Mm-hmm. So for the last 3 years, you've literally been an only child. And then what is your biggest hope or dream for your college experience? What is the one thing that you feel like you just have to have for your college experience to be everything?
I want to be in a sorority.
And that's going to make your college experience everything?
I feel like in sororities you gain a level of sisterhood. I feel like I will, because now in high school, before COVID, I wasn't really active in school stuff. I went to a couple games and stuff, but I feel like in sorority, there's an aspect of it that you have to kind of be into school activities, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. You kind of not have to, but it's kind of thing where you go out with your friends to football night or whatever. So I feel like I will gain that aspect of being involved in the school life. Mm-hmm. I think it'll also just be fun.
You feel like it's gonna be lit? Just gonna say it.
Yeah, there's a couple parties I'm waiting for.
Oh, you ready for the parties?
Yeah.
Lord Jesus, somebody be a fence around her whole dorm room where she can't get out.
Fraternities walk in.
Oh, the strolls and all that. That's what you hype about? Oh Lord. Well, I'm excited for you to experience or have the full college life experience. I think it's gonna be super dope. Just in our family alone, we haven't had very many people who have done the traditional college experience, and you really will be, one of the first. And so, I always want you to remember that when you go off into this world, you're not only carrying your own hopes and dreams, but you're also carrying the hopes and dreams of your ancestors and the generations that came before you. You know what I'm saying? Family has, worked hard and given to this world and maybe not received a lot back. So when you're in this experience and you have this opportunity, make the most of it. Make the most of the educational part. Make the most of the social part. Make your dreams come true. Whatever you're hoping or dreaming or wishing for, go after it and don't stop until you get it. And I believe that you have that in you. I believe that our ancestors are behind you 10,000%. They're marching in front of you and they're behind you. And I already know you're destined for greatness. I've always known that. I've always known that in your personality. But as a parent, I just want you to be all that you can be. If your plan is to go to med school and your plan is to be a doctor, a pediatric oncologist, perfect. But if your plan was to be a plumber or your plan was to be a guidance counselor, I would be just as proud of you as I am when you walk across that stage and you get your white coat.
Pause. I thought you were about to say if your plan was to be a stripper. Go ahead. That's gonna be cut out. Chill out.
If her plan is to be no.
I'm cutting all that out.
You can keep it in. All right, y'all. Here at the Making Sense with Meka podcast, we are going to entertain each one of our guests with some phrases and see what first comes to mind. Our first guest this week was, of course, my daughter, Sanaya. So I'm going to read around 10 phrases, and I'm going to ask her to give me her first thoughts. You ready, Sanaya?
Yeah.
Let's go. Food.
Macaroni.
Shoes.
Nikes.
Racism.
Black.
Social media.
Instagram.
Nature.
Trees.
Hair.
Curly.
Parents.
Light.
College.
Excited.
House.
Big.
Dreams.
Quiet.
Parents what?
Light.
Light.
Because I looked at you and you light and bright.
Wow. So the one thing I wanted to also talk about with you, just because I feel like it's a little generational gap between my generation and yours, are race relations. So recently, and probably even more so for your generation than mine, there has been some serious racial upheaval as of late. I know growing up and when I was in high school, we had the Rodney King beating and then the subsequent riots that followed that. That was like the big race thing of our time. And then kind of the O.J. Simpson thing was a little racial too because, you know, you got O.J., you got Nicole, she was white, he was black, and he actually got, you know, he was acquitted of that. So that was a racial aspect. And those were probably the two biggest things that happened. However, we had the civil rights movement. Your grandfather happened to be very, very active in that. He actually experienced some police brutality as a 17-year-old in high school. So I just want to get your thoughts or your perspective on race and how that it might impact your future going forward. Like all of the killings of unarmed black men and women, as well as just the climate. The current chief of office has brought out some people and their ugly ways. Their ways that they feel about race. And I think that it has ignited a hostile environment. So for you, and I know you can't speak for your whole generation of people, but for you and your friends and your age group, this current climate, what does it represent for you? What does it mean for you? How does it make you all feel?
It's stressful.
Stressful. Yeah. Okay. How are you choosing to manage the stress of it all?
I think for my generation, we try to find ways to escape, whether that be social media. People talk about it a lot, actually, and closer to my age, they'll not make jokes, but like they'll try to find a way to bring humor in such a dark time. Mm-hmm. So I think that's one of the main things that we do is try to escape. I know it's like we already have school, we already have like personal issues, and then to add all this on top of it, it feels like everything is just like laying on your chest at once.
Have you personally felt or been in a situation where you felt you were being either judged based on your race or attacked based on your race? Have you experienced racism personally?
Yeah.
What? Give me an example.
So I don't know if I told you about this, but one day I was in class. It was a English class and we were writing an essay about something we felt strongly about. And this white kid goes up to the teacher and like, while everybody's like working on their own, and he goes, "Miss, can I write about how some people," and then he looks at me, and then he goes, basically, he goes, "Some people use welfare and don't really need it, while other of us actually need it but aren't able to get it." And then the teacher was like, "We'll have to talk about it because there are ways that we could word it in order for it to be basically acceptable for everybody or something." But obviously, like, I knew what he meant.
So basically he was saying that black people are getting welfare and other people need it, and basically black people are taking advantage of it.
Yeah.
And were you the only black kid in the class at the time?
Yeah, I'm pretty much.
So when he looked at you, it was a direct reflection of, I'm talking about black people.
Yeah.
How did that make you feel?
I was angry. I knew when he said that he was like one of the outliers, that was probably some hillbilly bumpkin that parents is struggling, and he just mad at me because he can't get the new Converse.
So basically, he upset with you because his family don't qualify for food stamps.
Yeah.
It's just amazing to me that you're probably experiencing racial tension in your generation during this time than I personally experienced when I was your age. When I was your age, it was the early 90s, and black culture was lit. Like I said, we had two major events, which was the Rodney King beating and the O.J. Simpson trial, that I can really remember offhand. I'm sure there were smaller events because, of course, we didn't have social media. We didn't have camera phones. I come from the age of the pager. So at the end of the day, some of these things probably were happening, but it wasn't getting recorded. So we didn't have the outcry that you currently, or your generation currently has. Now, I do want to ask you, because I constantly say this, and I say it on my different social media pages, that I believe revolution is for the young. That the older generations can't necessarily understand the need for the revolution and the anger that comes along with that. Older generations have achieved their idea of what you would call the American dream. They have their house, they have their picket fence, they might have a little dog. They worked at whatever company for 30 plus years. They retired, they have a nice pension, and they just don't want no problems. Yeah. They don't want no drama. They don't want you, tearing nothing up. They just want to retire. They want to get up in the morning, drink their coffee, and live their life peacefully.
Yeah.
How does your generation, or how do you personally feel about the rioting, the anger, and how the anger is presenting itself coming from your generation?
I think the rioting is long overdue. I feel like people are just angry at this point. It's like how much peaceful protesting and how much talking and behind the scenes work can we do if y'all still not listening to us? I just don't like it when people take advantage of the riots to make the cause look like something that it's not. I burn down Target if you want, but when you go in and you take half the merchandise, then it makes it look like we're just rioting. Like it makes people like not take us seriously in a way. I feel like, yeah, we're over it. And
enough is enough.
Yeah.
Because it's just funny to me that the cycle is repeating itself, and we're seeing some of the same things that took place in the late 50s and 60s, and we don't even have to go that far back. It's like it's just repeating itself. Nothing's getting better. How are we still seeing the murder of unarmed black men, women, and children in 2020? The famous Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. speech, "I Have a Dream," and some people feel like, oh, the dream has not been realized. It's not even close to being realized. And I think that people think that because we're able to work and earn a living, and we're no longer on someone's plantation and giving out free labor, that, oh, we've come such a long way. But we still can't leave our homes and go to the gas station up the street and feel comfortable and safe no matter what time of day it is, because the smallest mishap can cause you to be pulled over by the police, and a simple traffic stop can turn into your murder. If you had the ability to change one thing, what would it be? One thing, as far, it could be about racial inequality, it could be about climate change, it could be whatever. If you had the ability, like all the power was given to you, and you had the ability to make one major change that would affect humanity, what would it be?
I think I would do my best to figure out a way to get rid of the school to prison pipeline. School to prison pipeline.
That's a whole other podcast, but an excellent choice. The school to prison pipeline. Okay, so that's an admirable request. I like that.
But if I had a number two, it would be to reform the police system.
So do you feel like the police system needs to be defunded or just reformed?
I feel like defunding it. I feel like reform would take 20 plus years to reform it into a way where everyone feels safe as they should. I feel like defunding it, though defunding may sound like a rough term, schools get defunded every day. There's kids who don't even have textbooks. We're e-learning. Kids don't even got computers to e-learn from. But police have millions and millions of dollars and are doing what exactly?
Right. So you got new equipment for police. You got body cams that they refuse to turn on or wear. You have new police cruisers. And you have kids that go to school every day that don't have textbooks or don't have the necessary supplies to be able to learn the things that they need to learn.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree with that.
Which I feel like those kind of go hand in hand, because if defunding the police, you take those funds elsewhere. I would put them in schools to work on school to prison pipeline.
Got it. Well, y'all, that is our special guest tonight, kicking some knowledge to us about race, life, and her perspective. And this is Making Sense with Meka, the podcast. All right, y'all. As we know, this is the end of the podcast. And at the end of every podcast, we will have the Ask Meka segment. So this week's Ask Meka segment question is, how do you feel about other races or cultures wearing black hairstyles? So locks, braids, cornrows. How do I feel about that? So you guys know that I'm a lock star. I love my locks. I've been locked now going on 4 years. And to be honest, my philosophy on life and how people do or treat their hair, for me, is live and let live. Everybody has the right to rock whatever tresses they choose to rock. But I also believe that with that comes a responsibility. So if you are rocking the latest hairstyle that black people most likely have made popular or can be credited solely to us, there's a responsibility that comes along with that. So when they're shooting us dead in the street, when they are, when you see racial injustice, when you are in your local store and you see the store clerk following somebody just because they're black, or when you see racial profiling, along with that hairstyle, if you're willing to take on that part of us, you want the culture, then you also have to be willing to stand up. Those same people who want to wear cornrows, who want to wear locks, who want to be a part of the culture because it's cool, because it's fly, I expect those people to not be silent through our struggles. Don't just take the good part of being black or our culture. You gotta take some of the bumps and bruises too. You have to not be afraid to speak up. If you can walk out of your house a race of other, whether it be Caucasian or whatever, and you feel comfortable rocking your locks, then you should also be comfortable standing up for black people and stating Black Lives Matter, or being able to state, hey, when you see something racially going on that's against a black person, you need to be able to feel comfortable speaking up about that. You need to be able to feel comfortable at your family reunion or at Sunday dinner when, grandpa or someone in your family chooses to use the N-word, to be able to speak up and say, hey, that's not cool. Because I'm comfortable, you're comfortable enough to rock the style, you're comfortable enough to appropriate the culture, then you need to be comfortable enough to stand with us. What do you think, Sanaya?
Agree. I think if you are going to wear hairstyles of another culture, First, I think you should have background knowledge or know the history of that hairstyle. Locks aren't just locks. There's a history behind them. And I think if you're going to do that, you should learn the history and learn why they're so important. And I also think, because for a lot of celebrities, they'll see a hairstyle that is prominent in Black culture, and then they'll do it, and then all of a sudden, it's this hot new hairstyle that's never been seen before, that's first time ever, and it's like, as a celebrity, you know that that's going to happen. So I feel like you should be the one to say, hey, this is where this hairstyle comes from. This is what inspired me to wear this.
Give credit where credit is due.
Yeah. I know, like, there was this thing going around where this TikToker, he was wearing long nails, and they made this article basically saying, these new TikTokers are making a trend of long nails. And somebody made a post, he was like, Black women have been wearing long nails for so many years, and all they got is how do you wipe your behind. And now that other people are wearing long nails, it's a trend.
Right, I agree. So, to piggyback off of that, I know when Kim Kardashian, I think it was, she had the cornrows with the beads on the end. And Vogue actually said, like, something like the newest, hottest hairstyle. We've been wearing cornrows and beads since before we came over here on the boats. So, like you said, it would be her place to speak up and say, and give credit to where credit is due. She didn't just come up with that in her own head. She didn't start a trend. That came from our culture. And I believe that they do need to give credit to the culture when they choose to wear those hairstyles. If somebody asks you about your particular hairstyle, you don't need to be repping it like you created that or it's a new trend for the world. You need to say, hey, Black women have been rocking this, or Black women have perfected this, because 9 times out of 10, that's where you got it from. All right, y'all, that's the Ask Meka segment of the podcast. You can always submit your questions to askmeka.msmw@gmail.com, and we will anonymously discuss your question, and it could end up on the podcast. Have a great one.